This cartoon and others published by the French magazine Charlie Hebdo, depicting the Prophet Muhammad in a satirical way, led to Muslims who said they were from Al Qaeda attacking the headquarters of the magazine in Paris. On the morning of January 7th, 2015, two brothers attacked the offices of Charlie Hebdo. They killed 12 people and injured 11 more. After leaving the offices, they could be heard shouting, "We have avenged the Prophet Muhammad." Then they reloaded the magazines on their guns and pulled away in their car. Their car was later found abandoned to the north of Paris. Numerous French officials declared this day the darkest in French history, and vigils were held to honor the fallen. On the cover of the next issue of the Charlie Hebdo magazine was a caricature of the Prophet Muhammad holding a sign that said, "I am Charlie." Above the Prophet Muhammad were the words, "You are pardoned." This was meant to show mercy on the Islamic radicals that were responsible. To explain why Islamic extremism leads to so many attacks, we have invited Professor Hugh Jass to elaborate on this issue.
Islamist extremism has been in the news a lot recently. Why do Islamist extremists do the things they do?
Fundamental extremists believe their job is to install mosque and state, or Sharia, the form of governance, under the name of Allah or God in Muslim territories, neighboring countries, and eventually the entire world. To the minds of Islamic extremists, they are promoting justice and freedom by instituting Sharia or mosque and state.
What are the practices of Sharia?
Anything that insults Sharia or goes against Islam is a severely punished crime, likely death or some amputation of some sort for a brutal crime. Also, for example, if you were to blind somebody, you would be blinded as a punishment. This goes under the category of an eye for an eye, and many small crimes fall under this category.
How far do Islamic extremist groups take Sharia?
The group ISIS follows the practice of Sharia law and wants to kill anyone who isn't Muslim. They do this with the extreme punishments defined in Sharia law, such as stoning and crucifixion.
What is the difference between extremism and terrorism?
Not all extremists carry out their beliefs through terrorist attacks. Many use nonviolent methods, such as activism and developing interfaith coalitions with unsuspecting non-Muslims. This is called gradualism. There are many gradualist groups forming. The largest is the Islamic Brotherhood. The terrorists, on the other hand, are extremely violent and use force and propaganda to support the extremist groups.
How is Islamic extremism related to Islam?
Extremism evolves from the radical interpretation of Islam, but there are many stemming ideas and differences. Also, it is important to remember that not all Muslims are radical.
Why is Islamic extremism on the rise?
It began as a response to Islamic weakness caused by the British Empire and increases in Western values, which causes the hatred of the West. The movement started in the 19th century and is known as Islamist revivalism.
What should we do to prevent Islamic extremism?
One school of thought believes that injustices by the West are providing Muslims a reason to commit terror. The only counter method to this is to address the grievances of angry Muslims by changing things like foreign policy. However, another school of thought believes that the Islamic extremist worldview leads to these grievances. They believe that the only way to stop extremism is to undermine the very ideology of extremism.
In Madrid, on March 11th, 2004, at rush hour, four full trains were approaching the city center. At 7:37 a.m., a bomb exploded in the first carriage of a train inside Atocha station. A minute later, two more bombs went off in the carriages behind. Another train was approaching Atocha station, and when the train was 500 meters from the entrance, four more bombs went off. In El Pozo station, at 7:39 a.m., two more bombs went off in a train inside the station. At the same time, the last explosion took place in Santa Eugenia station. This attack had the trademarks of Al Qaeda and led to a renewed effort by Western civilization to bring them down. Of the 13 backpack bombs that were placed, 10 went off. 191 people were killed, and 1,800 plus people were injured. To this day, it is the worst act of terror in Spain ever, and is on par with the London train bombings of 2005 and 9/11. Controversy between Spain's two main political parties erupted after they each accused the other of distorting evidence for electoral reasons. Hezbollah is a Shiite Muslim political party and militant group. They maintain an extensive security apparatus, political organization, and social services network in Lebanon. Here they are often referred to as a state within a state. Hezbollah emerged during Lebanon's 15-year civil war after Israel invaded in 1982. It began as an organization dedicated to fighting against Israel in the Middle East. Their founding manifesto states, "Therefore, our struggle will end only when this entity is obliterated. We recognize no treaty with it, no ceasefire, and no peace agreements, whether separate or consolidated." This shows that they will use whatever means possible to destroy Israel. Recently, Hezbollah has helped Lebanon fight the invasion of ISIS because the U.S. Army won't give help to the Lebanese army for fear of the weapons being used against Israel. Hezbollah also functions as a political party in Lebanon. In 2009, they won 10 parliamentary seats in the national elections. This is perhaps one of the reasons why the Obama administration labeled them as the most technically capable terrorist group in the world in 2010. Compared to Hezbollah, Al-Qaeda is a terrorist organization that is much more global. Their goal is to, quote, "reestablish the Muslim state throughout the world by overthrowing corrupt regimes in the Middle East and removing foreign presence." Al-Qaeda has provided financial, manpower, transportation, and training support to Islamic extremists. Al-Qaeda's origins are in the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan. Many Muslims from around the Middle East came to Afghanistan to fight the Soviets as mujahideen. These are warriors who fight to defend fellow Muslims. During the mid-1980s, Osama bin Laden became the prime financer for an organization that recruited Muslims from mosques around the world. ISIS is a militant movement in western Iraq and eastern Syria that wants to establish a single Islamic state or caliphate. After seizing territories in Iraq's Sunni heartland, ISIS proclaimed itself a caliphate. By doing this, they claimed political and theological authority over the world's Muslims. Its attempt to build a caliphate has been characterized more by extreme violence rather than institution building. ISIS began as part of Al-Qaeda, but now they are its rival because of strategic and ideological differences. Al-Qaeda focuses on attacking the U.S. and its Western allies with the ultimate goal of establishing a caliphate being generations off, whereas ISIS wants to establish a caliphate right now. ISIS poses very little threat to Western nations because at this moment they are more focused on controlling the Middle East.
والخلافة قامت بإذن الله وسوف نغزوكم كما كنتم تغزوننا وسوف نسبي نساءكم كما سبيتم نساءنا وسوف يتم أطفالكم كما يتمتم أطفالنا. تكبير! الله أكبر! الله أكبر! والله يا أخوان، والله يا أخوان نحن اليوم في فرحة، والله يشهد الله عز وجل لن نستطيع